Whether you're into hiking, riding or forward driving, this setup could be for you. In this video, I'll show you how to quickly and easily convert a 3x3 meter tarp into a tent so that you too can travel lighter, pack faster and add different setups to your camping trips. If this video is of interest, then go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button and help support my channel, The Apprentice Adventurer.
Where can I camp? Well, let's go hunting for a campsite around this dam somewhere. So I think I'm going to try to make this my campsite, but I might just do the tarp method. Nice, light and easy, and yeah, I'll show you in a second what that looks like. And all you need is a stick about belly button height, a tarp, I've got a 3x3, some tent pegs, and then a pair of socks that you're going to wear the next morning to protect the tarp pushing against the stick. Let's start building. First things first, you got to get your tarp out. Ignore all my cords, that's for when I set this up as a hammock. And we're going to throw this out like so. So you want to position your tarp so you know where the front of your tarp, which for me here is facing the right direction, and then position the back section of where you're going to lay. So if it's not super flat at the front or there's some rocks at the front, it doesn't matter because I've chosen to lay at the back end there. So let's start pegging that out. You need to get the tarp so that the second row of tie down points is at the back, and then this bit folds in, which becomes the lay down section, which gives you a little bit of protection from the earth and the elements that your sleeping mat can go on. So it should look something like this. And then as this starts to form, I'll show you the inside of what we'll be sleeping on. So we need to peg down these 3 points. So I got 1, 2, and my third one will go here. Make sure it's nice and tight. And also it helps to have ground that it goes into, which in this instance, it's a win. So next step is get your stick, and you've got to smoothen this off unless you've got a purpose-built pole, but I'll smoothen that off and then I'll put my socks like this, and that way it won't push through the tent as you tighten down against your center pole. But what we need to do now is put some pegs in the middle there. You've got to kind of eyeball that, because as you put this up in the tarp, if it's not loose enough, you won't get it there. Yet if you try to do this first, it keeps falling over as you're trying to get those pegs in. So let me get started on that and I'll show you. So now it'll look something like this. You've got the center pole up. I know it looks a bit dodgy at this point in time, but now that I've got the 4 pegs in, or 5 should I say, I can start working around it because the stick's in place, start making things tighter, and I'll start doing that by tying down these front ones and start shaping it up as a tent, 1 and 2. So I'll put the first one in. Now it's important here, you want to make this quite taut. So sometimes you got to come in more like this, sometimes you got to come in more like this. It also depends how big you want your front entrance. I don't get bogged down too much about it, and I just make sure it looks pretty windproof. So I'm going to put this one here, and then I'll take you for a walk around for the finishing touches. I've gone around the tent and I've put a peg in each little tie down. As you can see, it's getting pretty taut right now. I've got 4 along there. What I will do is I'll tie one here going backwards. That'll strengthen that up and keep a bit of the tarp off my face. But then as you come around the front, you've got a few options. Now this is the most basic setup. It's not meant to be luxurious, but you can either grab this and fold it back, one like that and one like this, and then you can leave it loose if you want. You can tie this back down to there, or you can join these so when you're sleeping you've got a bit more comfort, and as you get in and out you can release that. I normally do that mode, but whilst I'm setting up I tie back to the pegs, but I'll do that now, and it gives you a few options. If you feel comfortable in your surroundings, like right here it's pretty open, there's not too many animals, it's not summer, I might actually have that opening a bit bigger than normal, but you can always change it in the middle of the night. But I'll get to that now and I'll show you the finished product. Because I use this tarp as a cover for my hammock, I've always got these tie down points ready to go. So what I'll do is I'm going to use one now. I'm going to feed one back through the second up tie down point, and then I'm going to bring this back here. And because I've already got these in place, I can then just wrap it around here. You can just do a tensionless hitch if you want. Sometimes if it's not working in my favor, I will just keep wrapping, or you can put, like, if you get the right size object, what do we got here, like this rock, you can just put that in there so it's quick and easy, and you've got some tension on that rope. And now the tent is coming along quite nicely, and I think for tonight I will bring this out like this with a peg, and then I'll peg that down, and that should be the finished product, and I'll show you inside. So there's two options here. If you want that top bit to be nice and taut and looking apart, you can put a stick and elevate that and tie the stick down, and then it'll look much better. But honestly, I'm not too fussed tonight, so I'm going to come as tight as I can here. As you can see, based off the angle, it's a little bit loose, but no dramas at all. But it's not super windy tonight, so it should be just fine. So I'll put that in there. So here's my finished product. I know it looks a little rudimentary. I've had to come off on an angle here because for whatever reason my last peg keeps hitting rocks, but I'm not fussed about it looking perfect. As you can envision though, if you start moving your pegs around a little bit, you can start making it much, much tighter, but this will do the job perfectly. I've put a rear hold as well. That just helps stabilize the center stick. Now, word of warning, if this is something that you want to do, this is what it looks like inside. You're going to lay your mattress on there and you sleep back there. All your gear can go here. But this is more for the people who want to travel super light, because one tarp and one pair of socks and some tent pegs takes up a quarter of the room of a tent and or hammock and or a combination on the motorbike. The only downside of this is, word of warning, if it's super windy, if it's bucketing down rain, or you can't get your pegs into the ground, it's pretty useless to you. I have slept in this with the rain. I stayed dry enough, but as you can imagine, there is no shelter here unless you collapse that and get a bit more coverage. But tonight I'm going to leave it like this, something different, a bit of fun, back to my hiking days. But definitely try it yourself. And now I'll get the drone up and we'll do an aerial shot and we'll show you what the campsite looks like. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to try something different and travel super, super light, give the tarp method a go. You probably will regret it, but if you get it right, you won't regret it. But definitely something worthwhile doing once in your life. And on that note, I hope you enjoy the video, something a little bit different, and that's how I put up a tarp as a tent.